Today we're going to take a look at Deathblade leveling, and on top of that, at the very end of the video I will have a very quick overview of the most important abilities that you need, so stay tuned. First, let's talk about Spin Cutter. Spin Cutter is one of the first abilities you will have access to basically from the get-go from level 10. This ability has two different uses. The main use though is to apply your synergy or your debuff. In this case, the debuff will apply 3% overall bonus damage increase and a 9% increase to back attack damage. With that being said, this is mainly used for boss fights obviously, because monsters will not live long enough that you can apply this properly. Also, there's a different option in this ability in Swift Fingers. Also later on, if you have enough points available, Quick Preparation. This is mainly used if your damage output is already good enough and you just want mobility. Swift Fingers is the better version for mobility, but Open Weakness is normally the used one as it increases your damage by a good amount. Now after that, let's talk about Polestar for a second. Polestar is also an ability you get access to from the get-go, although this skill doesn't really shine until you put 10 points in it. That being said though, from level 10 to 14 you do not have access to really good damage tools, so putting some points into Polestar before you get to level 14 is not a bad idea. So with that being said, Polestar is mainly used as a more filler type ability later on during the leveling, but as I said, from 10 to 14 this is also a good option. Now that you're level 14, let's talk about the Soul Absorber. Soul Absorb also has a lot of uses and is one of the strongest early on abilities. Wide angle attack, Fist of Darkness, and half for the most, overall usage. This will enable you to actually kill mobs very quickly, and on top of that, have a lot of damage for bosses. If you feel like you already have enough AoE, you can also spec into Swift Fingers again, just so you can actually get your damage off quicker. Now let's talk about your most important leveling ability, and that is Moonlight Sonic. Once you reach level 24, you get access to this. And well, the setup is the most basic one: Fist of Darkness, Sustain Enhancement, and Shade Sonic. Concentrated attack is also not horrible, but I would suggest Sustain Enhancement. Blade Dance. Blade Dance is a great filler, especially for single target DPS, as this doesn't require a lot of points to do decent damage, and on top of that, it is perfect for single target boss fights. Here you take Fist of Darkness and Vital Point Strike. Another filler ability that you get pretty early on is Axle. This one, in combination with Swift Fingers, does a good amount of base damage, so you do not need a lot of investment. On top of that, has a little bit of mobility as well. Although this ability, as I said, it was just a filler. If you don't have anything else to spec into, this is a good choice. But at the same time, definitely not necessary in your leveling process. As you keep maxing out your Moonlight Sonic and your Soul Absorber, you'll eventually hit a point where you also have a little bit more points left that you don't want to maybe spend on filler abilities. And that's when Maelstrom comes in. Maelstrom you get at level 32, and it's a great utility ability as it not only increases your specialty gain, so you can use your identity more often, but on top of that, it gives you a group-wide movement speed and attack speed buff that can be used for both mobility and obviously damage. Once you get level 40, you get access to an ability called Blitz Rush. Blitz Rush is actually an amazingly versatile ability with a lot of different build options, but what you can see right here, Wide Angle Attack, Dark Charge, and Shadow Rush is the most overall useful one. This one enables you to actually do damage to a wide variety of mob types, mob groups, and also single target DPS on top of that. So this is a great all-arounder, and once you get to level 40, I highly suggest you max this one out. And last but not least, I also wanted to mention Death Sentence, especially as a filler ability again. Not only does this knock down mobs without any investment, but on top of that, once you reach level 4 on it, which is, well, 4 points, doesn't take very much, you can actually spec into Weak Point Enhancement, which against some bosses is actually quite good, as you can destroy parts of them and they will be easier to fight afterwards. So if you need another filler ability that you just spec into when you have some points left over, this one is a great option as well. And now for a quick summary for the most important abilities and what you should prioritize. First, you can see the DPS. Moonlight Sonic you get level 24, and this should be always maxed out once you reach that level. On top of that, Soul Absorber and Blitz Rush, although I would say Soul Absorber is slightly better because you also get it earlier, Blitz Rush is also an incredible ability, and they're both amazing. So I would also always suggest that if you can max them out, you should. They can be used in all kinds of situations. And last but not least, for DPS, which I also think is a very good ability to have during the leveling process, is Polestar. But as I said before, the other abilities beforehand take priority. So in this scenario, Polestar is the least prioritized DPS ability, although it can be used for both AoE and single target DPS. So keep it in mind as well. And lastly, utility. You have Spin Cutter you get on level 10, which can be used for mobility and also as a debuff tool. On top of that, you get Maelstrom at level 32, which is a team-wide, so especially good if you're in a group, attack speed and movement speed buff, and it also gives you more identity meter. And that's all of it. Deathblade leveling is actually pretty straightforward and also pretty quick, depending on which, setup you're going with. Although I think this gave you a good overview of which abilities are viable and are useful and which ones aren't so much. Although I would say during the leveling process, trying things out is never a bad idea either. So that being said, if you have any more questions, please let me know. If you found this video helpful, subscribing always helps. If you have more advanced questions, come over to Twitch and ask me there. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next one. Peace.